Welcome back, Disc Disciples. We are here in the OTB Podcast Studios. Once again, I'm your host, Greggy Biscuits. You are tuned in for another episode of Morning Round. The off-season is here, but it doesn't really feel like the off-season. We are very excited to have a special guest here in the studio with us, the one and only, we got your number 27832, Kona Montgomery. Kona, welcome
Wow.
in.
You talked about my PDGA number. I haven't been introduced with my PDGA number before.
I would think that some of the announcers during the year would utilize that more, but because
I
I
know.
just feel like it's so interesting, right? Because that's a low number.
A very low number. Shout out to Dad. He got it when I was just a little baby.
Yeah, I was doing a little research on the PDGA page, as I like to do just before we jump in, not just to get the number, but playing from a very early age. So that how old were you when you were bestowed with your PDGA?
Dude, there's a photo of me with my grandma, my late grandma. I'm like 2 years old holding a disc. So it's like a disc has been in my hand for a really long time. But I would say like competing, I was probably like, 6 years old. There's actually a tournament in Winter Park we used to play every year. My dad just used to sign us up. And I was always like the only little girl there. And so they'd put me with the older dudes and my mom would be caddying. And there was one tournament I threw literally 298 thumbers. I didn't know how to throw a backhand. I didn't know how to throw a forehand, but you were playing in the mountains. So it's like constantly going over trees. And I threw legit 290 whatever.
Take that, Jake Wolf.
Thumbers. A Jake Wolf.
That's got to be the record.
Right. And I think I like had a record low rating on that round or something. It was like 200 rated or something.
That's how many years does it take? Like a decade to come back from?
I know. Oh my God, it was like the hugest rating jump of all time.
Right. It's like, oh, with a rating jump of 700 points.
Good boy.
That would be nice. But playing in tournaments since 2005, 2006, since you were a little girl, and that was in Colorado.
I was in Colorado. Yep, and we used to play in the snow all the time. So it's like I'm kind of used to that snow. But I will say I feel like I have acclimated to the California weather.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it looks good on you. I mean, sometimes it's okay just to have sunny and fair conditions every day, right?
Yeah, I am a fair weather golfer for sure.
It does. The road hardens you, but sometimes it's nice just to not have to worry about it and not have to think like, oh, I just have to go play golf. I don't have to think about a bunch of extra conditions.
Yeah, dude, like going to Hawaii for our honeymoon last year and playing golf, perfect conditions. And then afterwards, you just jump in the ocean. That's like end goals, future, retirement.
For sure, bucket list, disc golf in Hawaii, and then the ocean jump. Which island were you playing on?
We went to Kauai. I need to go to. Oh, dude, how did I not go to Kona? I don't know. Don't ask
it's kind
me.
of on the nose.
Kind of weird. I don't know, but we're definitely gonna have to go back. You still have to collect Hawaii still, right?
I don't have Hawaii. I don't have Alaska. I'm getting really close on my states now. I think I'm at maybe 46 states. I think it's like
you're right there, dude.
And then, but now there's this other list of disc golf courses in these states, and so it's almost like I need to start my whole count over again.
I know. You and Colton just need to go on a road trip together and just collect 700 courses.
I was really hoping to maybe get there for course number 500, but on Kona or Colton's list, because he's been, again, I consider him my course collecting Sherpa over these years. I did break 300 this season, so I don't know. I'm hovering.
That's spicy.
Hovering around 320, which puts me in a little bit of rarefied space. But then you meet the people who have 500 and 800 and 1,000 or 2,000, and I got to play with Kyle Harrop, our friend from Horace Agedale's, who is currently number 1 on the UDisc course list, like 3,400 or something. He's going to help actually brew a special Champions Cup brew for us next year, a beer that we'll release for Champions Cup. But he's like a world-renowned brewer, and so he gets to travel around and brew beers all over the world, and I guess just collect some courses while he's at it. So he even played with Disc Golf Banner. If people are following along on their UDisc course collecting hierarchy, he is a fast riser out of Europe. I think he's maybe Icelandic or Finnish, somewhere up north. But he's closing in on Kyle, and when they played together, they had like 5,000 combined courses or something between the two of them.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's crazy. Well, I mean, for them, it's gotta be easier to have a job that, like, takes them to places like that. Like, yeah, we have a job that can take us to places like that, but it's
Hmm.
more expensive in that aspect, where I feel like those people who have jobs that pay for that and then, like, disc golf on the side,
Well, it's also
they're
like
they're living the life.
you as a pro have to focus on the course that you're playing that week. It'd be nice
Sure.
us to go play golf however we wanted, whenever we wanted, but especially in your position, at those little 9 holes at the church or the elementary school or the park, like, okay, it's practice, but it's not
It
exactly the
is, it
practice
is.
you probably
What's
need to be piling on. Uh, you mentioned all those thumbers. What was the first disc that they put in your hand? Little
dude, the
Kona.
first
And again,
little
I
Kona?
guess the first one that you remember, because obviously there was a lot of Frisbees floating around the Panis household.
Yes, tons. I mean, we used to have, like, a crap ton of, like, discraft back in the day. It's funny, like, the few discs that I remember throwing a lot getting into the sport was the Shark, the DX Shark,
Mhm.
and then I threw the crap out of the M4,
Okay.
and I remember wanting to get sponsored by Prodigy,
Mhm.
like, when I was like, "Oh my gosh, I love it." I really only wanted to get sponsored by them because of the M4, and I reached out to Will Schuster,
Mhm.
and he was like, "Sorry, you just don't have a lot of wins under your belt. Come back to us maybe next year after you've won more."
Okay.
I was like, "Dang, that sucks." And that's when I reached out to Jonathan Poole,
Okay.
and that's when Innova happened.
And Innova jumped on that. And
Because they were, well, their biggest thing when I asked was I was like, "Hi, and I'm getting into this media thing," back when, like, Instagram was first coming out.
mhm.
I wanna say, like, I'm one of the first disc golfers on Instagram. I don't know if that's actually true, but,
Mhm.
like, I was like, "Hey, I'm posting more. I'm playing a lot. I would love to represent a company." And, like, the biggest thing for me when he reached back out was he was like, "We love sponsoring juniors
Mhm.
and women." And I
Mhm.
was immediately like, "Ding, ding, 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 ding. Okay, this is sick."
And
So,
and that was a relationship that lasted for a long time until the
yeah.
move to DD.
Yeah, till the move. I think I was with Innova for like 4 or 5 years, and obviously very Innova-centric family. Dad, media marketing manager, mom worked for Shiro Disc, their dog disc company, so it's
Mhm.
just like everyone was like Innova-centric for sure.
And is that and you've been back kind of with the family, so hanging out with the old school Innova heads, what's that been like?
Yeah, so it was really cool. I, went and played around. My brother was home for, like, 2 weeks. He actually went back to the Army, so we don't know. He might get deployed soon, we don't know. But we had, like, an early Thanksgiving, so it's like that morning of, we woke up at 5, went and played golf with my dad, and then also an old Innova legend, Jerry Raw.
Shout out Jerry.
Uh, Shout out Jerry. If you don't know Jerry, gosh, he's just like Dave Dunapace's BFF and, like, helps him test discs, used to work at the Innova store, so definitely Innova legend, but yeah, it was really cool to hang out with them.
Playing some of the courses there in SoCal. Now you've kind of split time between Colorado and California now, or you lived in California for a little time in between moving back permanently to Colorado. What's the situation right now?
So I was born and raised Colorado, and then when I got sponsored, my dad got the job with Innova, and we moved here to California probably 8 years ago. We've been here 8 years, which just blows my mind. It doesn't feel that long.
Mhm.
Um, and so I split time here in Colorado because Colton's family is in Colorado, so we spend, like, holidays with them and then holidays here, but, my stuff is here and then Colton's stuff is there. Like, we don't have a house, we
Mhm.
still live out of the van and, obviously very grateful our parents allow us to keep our stuff still in, like, the house. Like, that makes life 10 times easier and like, less expensive,
Mhm.
not having to have, like, a house payment on the road.
Mhm.
I know some people do have to do that, which is just, like, insane. Obviously, I want a house one day, but also, dude, like, it freaks me out trying to think about, like, I'm on the road, and then all of a sudden someone calls me, and they're like, "Hey, your house is on fire. Hey, there's water rushing out. Your pipe broke." Like,
Mhm.
that just gives me anxiety, and I feel like that's something I would be thinking about not being home. So I think that's something when we settle down and, we're thinking about having babies in the future, like,
Mhm.
that's something we do after disc golf.
Mhm. Does this off season feel any different than past off seasons? Just in terms of your progression
For
as a pro, like what you've learned about like, oh, this is the ebb and flow of the season. This is where my energy levels are. How do you compare going into this off season to past ones?
This offseason feels really weird. I think not only for myself, but just like disc golf in general right now. Like, I'm curious next year what the tour will look like. Who's going to be on the road? Who's going to be in a van? Like, I already know Stacey Ronsley is like doing like a half tour, and she was on the road full time with Lola. And it's just like, that's going to be weird not seeing her all the time. And I can only imagine like Connor O'Reilly doesn't have a sponsor. Like, all of these, I think like a few other people, I'm not going to name names, I don't think they've announced yet, but like a few other people don't have sponsors at this current moment. And so like I just don't know what it'll look like. And I guess for myself, obviously this off season, I'm healthy. I don't have to worry about like surgery and recovery. So it's like I'm going to the gym more, getting some other health stuff figured out. To I have like a gallbladder issue. So it's like I have to go see like a specialist for that. And it's just like getting the body right so then
Hmm.
I can like hit practice hard because I think more now than ever, people are gonna have to work their butt off, like competition wise, but also media wise.
Hmm.
Like I'm hoping to do more YouTube stuff because like, that income you get off of YouTube if you monetize is like super awesome for us as golfers on the road.
Hmm.
And just like creating more media. And I'm looking for more outside sponsors because I just don't see a lot of the inside disc golf sponsors being able to support more athletes at the capacity we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I think we could definitely notice that and get that sensation being out on the road this year of slightly less attendance. I think we were hearing slightly less views, maybe on the live and the post production. Um, if anything, it's sort of like you were mentioning, the pendulum swings back with the excitement that happened maybe 3 to 4 years ago. Big surge of signings, a lot of money going around, a lot of kind of investment into the pro tour, into the disc golf media, and now we've kind of okay, well, where is our plateau? Where does the wave crash? So I think we were kind of sensing that this year, and I think the number I've heard, and maybe this is not so uncommon as it might seem, but about half of the touring pros are in that situation you're talking about, if not more, of figuring out their contract, figuring out how they're going to even sustain themselves moving forward into 2025. Uh, um, you guys do a great job, you and Colton both, but also promoting yourselves, promoting your brand. You've got the website, Disc Elf, so maybe some exciting stuff happening up with that going into the holidays. But players just have to be so creative and so resourceful. You can't just, you can be great at golf, but that's probably not enough just to kind of back up the contract and back up the agreements that were going to be created with these companies. And then,
Yeah,
uh,
not
and
anymore.
then
You
also,
used to be just good at golf, now you have to have a media, you have to have a brand to like really be valuable, in my opinion.
And then also, if you're not taking advantage of those opportunities to connect with fans, to connect through clinics, to connect through meet and greets and special giveaways, then you're just missing out on so much opportunity.
And dude, like I think some of the pros, and I'm not gonna say names, but like I've had some interactions with some pros and they're like, "Oh, like I really hate just sitting and talking to people after my rounds." He's like, "Yeah, I'll sign some discs, but like I just get so tired of it. Like I don't know you. I don't care to like sit and talk to you." And in my head, I'm sitting there and I'm like
Screaming.
losing my mind because I'm like, these are the people keeping you on the road, dude. These are the people buying your discs, like promoting you without even like trying by even just posting like them throwing your disc. And it's just like, it blows my mind when people are so like, oh my God, I hate sitting and signing signatures. What? That is so sick. Someone wants your dang signature. I'm sorry. That's like the pinnacle of being a professional disc golfer
Hmm.
is getting your name on a disc and having people buy your disc and then having people sign it. Like that is the top.
Right.
So, I think a lot of people kind of get tired of that especially when you're like the higher up player. He's like, you have to have this obligation to talk to these people all the time.
Hmm.
But these are the people making your money, man.
Yeah.
And also sponsors take those numbers and not that they use them against you, but kind of at the end of the season, if they see that, this person is selling way more discs than you, but maybe not playing as well, and you're not, they will take that into account when they're doing your, next contract.
Well, it's an easy strike to bring up, right? If you're not out there. Um, and again, it's just one to promote the brand, one to promote yourself, because you might not always play for a given manufacturer, but those fans are going to be there year after year after year. And it's definitely something that I've noticed, and I've only been doing the tour life kind of for about 3 years, but it's so much easier if you're making friends, right? It's so much easier if you have that. Yeah,
Networking.
you need that place to stay when you're in North Carolina or Iowa or Illinois or Michigan or
Yes.
Vermont, and that just goes a long way. Not just, again, the monetary support, but the emotional support, the
Yes.
literal physical resources. Um, yeah, it's a really interesting community in that regard. So, yeah, when people don't wanna kinda play the game, and again, it happens. Maybe you have a bad round or you don't feel well and you don't wanna be there, but
Exactly.
you kinda have to give if you get throw it back a little bit based on the size of where we are and the kind of collective nature of, where we're going in golf. But again, as an ambassador, I think everyone's always respected what you do and then also promoting the sport for women especially. So doing good work on the podcast there with Christine and just,
Routine.
yeah, just making it happen and talking about conversations that maybe are uncomfortable, but also keeping the conversation going instead of it just being this kind of like feedback loop of everyone
Yeah.
getting the news that they want or getting the information they want from their specific source, just kind of painting a broader picture. So we appreciate that. Okay, let's break it down again. We're here in the morning round, even though it's maybe slightly early afternoon. But you were coming back from the thyroid this year. I know you were changing a lot of stuff about your kind of routine. Talk about. I know you guys are early risers. What is the Kona life in the morning out on tour? What do you like to get in the system food wise? Coffee person, no coffee, to the course. I know you're there. You're an early bird, but break down that morning routine there when you're out on tour.
I am an early bird. I think I just love getting up early, getting everything done with my day, but also the lighting for camera work is always better in the morning or in the evening. So, and I don't like going out in the evening. That's when spooky people come out. Still, I love going in the morning. Let's say, all right, the tournament day, I need to wake up. I'm in always an hour early before I need to even get out of the van.
Mhm.
So I get up. I have to immediately take my medication because I have to wait an hour before I can eat.
Okay.
I learned that because when I was in Europe, for some weird reason, I thought I had to be taking it at the same time I was taking it in the US, but I should have been taking it before I was eating. It actually messed with my absorption and
Oh.
messed with my levels. So I learned that real quick. If you take any thyroid medication, wait an hour. Okay. So anyways, take my meds. I cook the same breakfast every single day.
Okay.
And this comes from Seth Muncie. He, disc golf strong, give him a follow, YouTube. He supports disc golf and wants us to be amazing. Um, he gave me this idea. He's like, you want to give your body the same thing every day on competition because you know exactly how you'll feel.
Mhm.
And so ever since then, Colton and I, we do 5 eggs in the morning. Usually gets 3, I get 2. We do ground sausage, hot sausage, and then I mix it in with the eggs. And then a fruit. And I used to do bread, but I'm not really doing a ton of bread. But it's just like a ton of protein, some fruit because I'm a slow oxidizer, so I need the fruit to help digest, baby. And then we do, the immune shots that are full of like turmeric and just like amazing,
Yeah,
awesome
it's kind of like
stuff.
5 hour energy, but it's like the shot of
But it's good for
right.
you. Yes, yes, and it has, like, no energy. I don't do coffee. We used to do coffee, but your girl gets jitters. I can't do that on the course. I'm
Mhm.
already an anxious person.
Mhm.
Um, and then I am out on the course an hour or yeah, or in the practice area an hour before I tee off. A lot of people think that's, like, a lot, but it's
Mhm.
like I do my disc strong resistance bands stretching,
Mhm.
that takes, like, 10, 15 minutes. I like to like throw for like, all of my discs in my bag, all of them. I used to throw into the net and I used to struggle with my release on the course. And
Mhm.
Colton was like, what are you doing? He's like, you need to see your release before you go out. He's like, what if your body's more sore? Or for women, we have cycles where, we might be a little bit more weak that week. And
Mm.
he's like, you need to be throwing in the field. And so once I started throwing into the field, game changer.
Mhm.
It was just like everything felt more clean. Release was way more on point.
Mhm.
So throwing for 30 minutes and then I finish with putting until like 10, 15 minutes before the tea time because your girl hates the 5-minute rule. Stress.
Yeah.
I will show up 10 minutes before that 5 minute because I just want to make sure I'm there. That's like my biggest like nightmare is if I would show up late.
Right. Yeah, it
My
starts
grandpa
start
always,
that way. Yeah.
yeah, my grandpa always instilled in us like either be early or if you're on time, you're late, sort of thing.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, that's my morning.
Yeah, I heard someone toss around the other day that your round starts 30 minutes before you tee off. Like, kind of at least physically and if it doesn't, then maybe you're not getting the results you
Maybe
want.
I'm late.
Maybe you're not getting the results you
Mhm.
want in the first 30 minutes of when you're actually out on the course.
Yes.
And that's been refined over the years, and then, again, you just kinda find the parts that work for you, lean into those, and then, obviously good to have the support system of Colton there. You guys can rely on each other. And
Well, it's crazy, like, to think, like, I'm gonna call out my girl Deanne. Deanne Carey, she, like, will putt and, like, maybe throw into a net. I don't even know if I've seen her throw into a net. Some people just, like, are ready to go.
Mhm.
They're out of their car, and if they're putting or throwing, they, like, get in their head about it. So it's
Mm.
like they're getting out of the car, maybe warming up the muscles, and then they're, like, going to their round and then shooting, like, a super hot round, and I'm like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, dude, I gotta go warm up for 6 hours before I can even do that."
Yeah, there's definitely a big spectrum between the folks that you're saying are pushing the 5-minute rule, and then, say, your Haiti Lines who have extensive kind of muscle warm-up routines
What?
in the I'm always
I love watching her
I'm
in the
always
parking
impressed. She's,
lot.
like, activating all of her different zones and stuff. It's like, "Wow, that's really
She
cool."
always has that medicine ball with her and she throws it. Yeah, dude, I love watching her warm up.
Yeah.
I actually talked to her at the end of the season and she's like, "You need to come to Finland and work out with me." And I'm like, "Don't tempt
Go
me.
get
If it
strong.
wasn't so cold, maybe."
And she's got, Eunice, right, her coach. Yeah, they have
Yes.
a good little system there, and it was fun hanging out with Haiti. Well, we all got to hang out in Europe this year. Let's talk a little bit about that. Was that how many times have you been over for the European tour?
I've been to European Open twice now, and it's definitely one of my favorite events of all time.
Yeah, definitely iconic courses there, especially with the Beast and now with the Monster. Um, Talk about competing on those tracks and kind of the scope of what we're seeing in Europe with the Pro Tour.
Man, when you go to Europe, you feel like an athlete. I feel like USA, we're getting better, but there's still that mentality of, I'll go to my doctor's office and I'll be talking to my doctor and I'm like, yeah, I'm a professional disc golfer. And they're like, what is that? That sounds silly. Or, oh, are you talking about frolf? Are you talking about the sport where you smoke a bunch of weed? And I'm just like, no, I have a pretty thick contract and I actually get paid to do this. And it's like, it blows their mind.
Mhm.
But it's like, you go to Europe and you talk about disc golf and it's legit. It's like, okay, yeah, me too. Or you're a professional? Wow. Like, and it's also just like the atmosphere. For example, in USA, early in the mornings, we have like fans come out who watch us. But when you're in Europe, dude, early morning for the women, there are people there to watch. And also the crowds are huge by the like time you get to 18. And I think the biggest thing for me that blew my mind, even when I first showed up, was the kids.
Mhm.
There are so many kids and juniors in Europe. Obviously, I think it's just like it's safer for them to go out by themselves and play. I
Mhm.
think that's a big part of it. But I don't know what it is, but like Vino and Nicholas, they have the biggest fan base when it comes to juniors. They have kids constantly like going after, running after them. And so I think that was just like really cool to see coming from USA.
Yeah, definitely a passionate fan base, and then we would finish those rounds, at the European Open, and there would be 100 plus kids just lined up hugging the fence,
Yes.
ready to get any glimpse. Again, a lot of them asking for a disc or a jersey or a hat, which is, like,
Yes.
totally adorable, but also
It
just
was so
excited to have
funny.
any contact with, again, with you or any of, the ladies out there. I was mostly around you and mostly around Matty O, and Matty O would be signing autographs for half an hour, and honestly, that was just because he had to pull himself away. Like, if he if you stay there, they just probably would've kept coming up.
For real.
Again, I've only been in disc golf for about 8 years, and so I'm still, like, experiencing it kind of for the first time, but as I've looked at the kind of, landscape of where we are in the States and then having a little experience in Europe now, I feel like we're maybe having a moment in Europe that we had maybe 10 years ago here in the States in terms of like just the growth and the popularity. And then especially this kind of, you alluded to, youth movement, which we see now because a lot of, again, that's a great bonding experience for parents taking their kids out. And we see it more and more. The junior division's filling up, more and more young disc golfers in the States, but definitely rampant and already ubiquitous to appear in the schools and happening in public space there in Europe. So I think there's still a lot of potential growth there. So excited to see what happens in Europe next year. What was your highlight stop this year in 2024?
You know, I think immediately what comes to my head is a preserve because that's where I I got ninth place, and that's where I qualified for both Throw Pink and European Open.
Mhm.
So not only did I play well and was like super happy about it, but I also qualified for like, those events, which I didn't qualify for last year. So to do
Mhm.
it in one event was sick. I will say though, like looking like yeah, that like was a super high, but that's also when my mom called me to tell me that they were putting down my cup, and so it's
Oh,
like, oh my god, that Lake Preserve was amazing, and then it's also like, damn, that's when I said goodbye to my baby. So it's like, it honestly, like, it's weird after I talked to my mom about, like, my dog and everything, like, looking back at it, and I looked and I talked to her, I'm like, "Man, it felt like something was going right that round." And I know no people,
mm,
may not believe in, like, spirits and,
mhm.
like, but, like, I felt like Aries was there in a way,
You look
like,
back
he
and there were
helped.
6 footprints.
I think yeah,
It was the
yeah.
other
So
card mates, but, it was one was maybe a paw prints.
yeah.
And then there's a new little dog running around, right?
We have Sparky. He is a spark plug, is what we like to call him. He is full of energy, so fun, and I think we're definitely small dog people now. He is so fun, dude. So cute.
Again, he fits for the van, but I'm not sure 2 people should have a dog in their van.
Nope, nope. He stays home with mom and dad, and he'll get spoiled here because man, I don't know how people have animals in a van. Like, one, it gets hot. I could never put an animal through that. And two, I mean, the travel aspect of it's really cool. Like, you get to take them to like really cool places, but like being an athlete, it's a lot on your mind. Like, I can only imagine like being like super hot and humid during a round, and I'm sweating outside, and I'm thinking about
Yeah.
my dog back in the van, like, that's
I
stress.
think I think maybe, being a disc golfer and being an empath, has some unique challenges.
Yes,
Because
yes,
again, I'm just
totally.
sensing again, I've sensed this from what you're telling me, and then just in general, that you can observe it, but eliminating stress and eliminating anxiety is such an important part of not just golf, any sport, but really in life because you
Like
can find yourself just crippled with indecision a lot of times, and then the microcosm of that is like, "Oh gosh, now I have to make a putt," or now I have to.
yeah.
So, yeah, eliminating that kind of distraction or that kind of like, "Oh, yeah, your dog jumped out of the car and it's running
Oh my
around the farm mart."
gosh.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's like I'm such an animal person too,
Mhm.
which is like, it's been so hard not to get an animal. Like, we'll be at a gas station and there's like a little kitty, and you're like, "What?"
You just wanna
I
save
don't know where
all of
home.
them.
No, no, no. But you're like, dude, I can't. I won't take care of you the way you deserve it, taken care of.
We're currently in the process of coaxing a neighborhood street dog, here at the shop. We've gotten some progress. He now comes up and will sniff my hand, and we give him a little bit of a barbecue. He likes that. So we're
Oh.
still working on a proper diet. So the preserve fave spot in the States. What about over in Europe? What was
Oh.
a good spot this year?
I've only been to Finland, so I have yet to be to Norway. That's like, Sula, PCS is like a goal. Sweden obviously is, I would love to play Yarva just because like the last 5 years people have been talking about it being taken out,
Hmm.
but it's like I think it's still there. So it's like maybe I'd still have an opportunity to play it. And that's just iconic.
Hmm.
Um Honestly, I'd love to go anywhere over there in Europe to play disc. I mean, Estonia looked insane for the festival. Like,
Hmm.
they like I said, Finland made us feel like athletes. Seeing videos of everybody in Estonia, they were treated like royalty.
I mean, everyone I've spoken to said that was by far the most impressive disc golf event they'd ever been a part of, and
I
it
bet.
definitely translated through the coverage. You know,
I don't know if I like, what do you think of the course though?
well,
Like, take a step
that's
back. What do you think about it?
that's the issue. And so again, the event world class, the disc golf left something to be desired. And so I think that's something as they go through their progression, they're going to have to figure out because you couldn't help but have somewhat of a gimmicky feel with all temporary tee pads. I mean, it's a completely temporary course, right? It's just created for the event. It's on that festival grounds. Um, and as I come to find out, it's like you can have good temporary courses. Technically, the Beast is a temporary course. Technically, Winthrop Gold is a temporary course. It's just how does the golf actually play out in reality? And
Well, it's like for me, the Estonian course, it was an eyesore. I don't know. I didn't mind the holes.
mhm,
It was like I saw like weird buildings or I saw like a bunch of fences. Like
mhm,
the branding was cool.
right.
Like I think that goes to show like they have some big brands out there supporting, but I didn't love some of the eyesores.
Yeah, I guess anytime you're in an urban environment like that, you're gonna get way more visual distraction. Again, that was the thing that I was blown away by being there at the Beast was like, you're that close to pedestrians and that close to cars and that put close to people who have no idea that any disc golf
Disc
tournament
golf
is
is
happening, let
happening.
alone a major, let alone one of the most important tournaments of the year.
Biggest tournament. Yeah.
And so I'm sure that was something that they were dealing with there in Estonia. Obviously, a lot of focus on the Tournament Central, on that presentation, which I've heard this before from like a musical perspective, being in bands and stuff. I always wanted to give our music away for free, and I was just like, well, why would we not give it away for free? No one's heard it. Like we're not a big band, we're not like monetizing like that. And then a couple of my bandmates would always be like, well, yeah, but if we give it away for free, we're not valuing it. Okay, and so it's like, okay, I see the argument each way, so it's kinda one of those things where they have this big fancy cart for their tournament, and it's, here it is," but they don't have the way to pull it yet with the course.
Yes.
But at least it's that effort of elevating everything, and I think we will see some new kind of twists on, special events and kind of one-off tournaments this next year as people try and figure out like really what is this balance of the pro tour. If you have less maybe full-time touring pros, you're gonna have more pros regionally. Well, maybe you see more tournaments that pop up or an invitational or whatever it turns out to be, kind of adding to this tapestry of what is professional disc golf and what's possible within it. So
And I think pros are looking for more of those events outside of the pro tour that maybe are a little bit more loose when it comes to like maybe not rules, but it's like, what's a good example?
s-
Persimmon Ridge.
seriousness.
Great example.
Mhm.
Like, it's a fun course. Atmosphere is awesome. The hosts are incredible.
Shout out Persimmon Ridge.
He literally wearing the freaking hat. I think like I think pros are looking for more events like that. Maybe a little bit more loose, maybe a little more fun, but still had some good payout.
Yeah, shout out to my boys in GK Pro. We had a lot of fun when we would have our disc
Yeah.
golf fests this throughout the season, which kind of was just an alternative weekend of programming to the Pro Tour on off weekends. So it didn't even compete, but it gave pros an opportunity to play another tournament. Usually there was added cash, so you'd have a benefit to players who could make it. You have a real
Got part on site.
park on site. The people are excited that you're there. It's, sometimes food was provided, like definitely taking care of those
Yeah.
basic necessities, which is seems like again it would be a no like kind of baseline operating procedure for the pro tour. But as we've seen, it's been a kind of growing pains with that in terms of how the players are actually supported, I'd say like kind of on a day by day basis in terms of like, okay, we're feeding you, but the snacks are what? We're providing you a place
Taco chips.
yeah, here's a place to park, but it's like, oh, this is really sketchy or unsafe for like half of the field, if not more. So anytime
They definitely try, but man, yeah, the execution isn't always great, but I definitely know they're
oh,
trying.
I know they're trying because again, there's all these factors that have to go into the kind of checklist of how the venue handles, how the golf handles traffic, how the golf handles spectators, how parking works, how warm up areas work. Because a lot of times you could have 9 out of 10 things really, really good, but there's no place to throw your disc and see it fly.
That's like one of my least favorite things in the world is showing up to a dude. Were you in disc golf when we were playing San Francisco,
Well, when you went to
the Golden
Glen
Gate?
Eagles or to Golden Gate?
I think it's no. Okay, sorry, Glen
Glen
Eagles.
Eagles, yeah. I'm familiar with
And
the
there was
course.
nowhere to putt or throw.
Mm,
The course was amazing,
yeah.
other than like gunshots nearby, pew pew pew
Well, that's
happening when Drew Gibson's throwing. Other than that, the course was sick.
mhm.
But yeah, the aspect of not having a warm up, that's just like basic needs.
Yeah, the bathrooms, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I first showed up to the Pro Tour event, I figured that everyone always knew where they were gonna be sleeping, maybe had at least 1 meal covered per day, and then yeah, it's
One
not
meal.
it's not that.
Never.
But thanks for playing.
No. Yeah. Hey,
Looking at Europe next year, what are you thinking? Do you think it's gonna be more than Finland?
gosh, Colton and I are looking to do like a month, like 3 weeks. We would love to go to Sweden. We would love to go to Norway, Finland, obviously for Worlds. We have some good friends there. If you guys follow us, we have a good little junior named Oiva. Love him
Shout
and
out
his
Oiva.
family. Shout out Oiva, Sarah, Laura, and Michael. Michael is his uncle, and he's like, if you guys want to rent an RV, I'll drive you guys around, sort of thing. And I'm like, don't say that because I'll make that
I
happen.
mean, I think we got the training
Uh,
figured out with Haiti, we got the RV figured out.
yes,
This trip's really coming together.
I know. I just need to move to Finland, I guess. So I think we want to spend like three solid weeks, if not a month, and just send it because our food is great over there. Like, and not to say everything's better in Europe, but like, I hate coming back to the U.S. when it comes to like food and people. Oh, like, man, you go to Finland, everyone's like quiet but like nice,
Mhm,
kind,
mhm,
and I don't deal with as many like selfish people over there as I do here.
mhm.
But that's obviously just my experience. I bet there are selfish people, but what I have experienced has been amazing. And their food, I don't feel like crap over there when I eat like bread or pasta. Like they don't have, they have, America has things in their food that are illegal in other countries, and they don't have that there.
Right. Yeah, definitely a fresher feeling experience, at the grocery store, and, one of the places I felt actually that I was getting pretty good value. But, yeah, would recommend all those places in Europe. Next year, it's gonna be going through the Czech Republic, through Sweden, up to Norway, back to Finland and Estonia, and then back to Finland again for Turkey is the end cap. But,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, just an incredible experience, and then also the benefit of experiencing the disc golf community abroad, which we've come to find out that is very similar to a lot of the elements of the disc golf here in the United States, and just look forward to getting back over there. Now, did you have a sauna in your house in Finland in the rental
We made sure we had a sauna, of course.
with
It's
with the
also
pool
one thing I hate.
with the pool in the basement?
No,
Okay,
we didn't have a pool in the
well, you got to get the
basement.
pool in the basement, but yeah,
You guys had a setup.
that sauna lifestyle is quite agreeable.
I don't know how we haven't. I know it's not as cold here, but I don't know how America hasn't caught up on that.
Well,
So
it's like
good.
the bidet, it just takes time.
We have a bidet.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and then,
Ah,
you could go for the infrared sauna. The next time you come back, that'll be there.
yeah.
It's just the progression we have.
Is it?
Well, I definitely had a highlight over in Europe with you this year, being on the bag for European Open, so just definitely had to shout out that experience, which was yeah, that was intense.
Yeah, we need to do it again.
4
I
days
don't know if it needs to be in Norway or if it needs to be somewhere else, but we got to do another Europe caddy duty.
exclusive European caddy duties. I mean,
Mhm.
I could get behind that.
Sick.
Uh, Kona, what is happening for the holidays? Anything big planned here in the off season? And I guess one thing I was kind of alluding to earlier, do you feel a pressure to like compete at this point, like of the off season? Like, what are you doing in terms of balancing how much you want to keep that drive going versus like recovery? Um, and then when do you kind of kick it back up to get into the gear for next year?
Man, so off season, starting just chilling with Sam, obviously doing putting, working out. throwing at courses obviously want to stay in the competitive mindset. As it comes to like competing, I think Colton and I might hit some small events here and there because he's looking to check off a tournament in every state. He just went and won Rhode Island, which he hasn't posted about. He's coming from like his media marketing manager. I'm like super disappointed that he hasn't posted anything about his win yet.
Uh-oh.
But anyways, so I don't
You've
know.
already
I
posted
feel
about
like
your trip to the Oakley store.
and that was like an hour ago. So
Very
yeah,
impressed.
we're different people. So yeah, we might do some small events here and there. We might do some leagues, just to like honestly see face to face with like hometown people. A lot of like people just love kind of just hanging out, talking to us about like tour, and then also I do like online lessons and in person lessons during the off season, which
Okay.
like I really love and enjoy. So doing a lot more of that kind of stuff, maybe some hot cocoa combos. But like other than that, Colton and I's wedding anniversary, 2-year wedding anniversary is coming up on the 22nd. So we're gonna go to like a dine-in theater of the Scrooge.
Oh.
Dope. So gonna do that, and then Thanksgiving with his family, fly to Arizona, Christmas with my family, and then we're training.
Is there like
And
is there a
then
piece of cake frozen in a freezer somewhere that you're gonna eat on the anniversary? Isn't that no, didn't
I ate it
it's all
all.
gone?
All gone because it was gluten-free
Mhm.
when we were married, and so it was the best cake I'd ever had that was gluten-free, and so, no, there was none that was safe. Dude, Emerson and his wife just, like, recently ate theirs, but, like, 5 years later, like, way late, and I'm like,
That's I think that's just a product of them having kids and the freezer being so full that you
"Full,
have
you
no
just
idea, and
need
then,
your
"Oh,
own."
yeah, we really needed to clear this out." Oh my gosh.
So, no, no, nope, none of that, we'll just get a cupcake.
Couple tourneys. What's your favorite course to hit there in SoCal?
Dude, we suck for courses. It's funny, when I moved from Colorado, which, like, already didn't have, like, a ton of
Yeah.
courses, like, we had mountain courses, we had to drive an hour. I thought coming here, there was gonna be a ton more courses.
Yeah.
Not even, I have to drive, like, a solid 45 minutes to get somewhere half decent, but my
That's to
home
get to Martha?
course Martha's 20.
Okay.
Martha's my close home course, but it's like it's not, like, high level,
Sure.
it's your average casual
It's a
course.
fun walk.
It's a fun one, and it's the only one nearby with veteran baskets,
Mm.
so, only place I feel like you can really go and, like, promote, like, dynamic really well.
Mhm.
Because otherwise it's super Innova-centric around here. But the one course that I love and I'm obsessed with is obviously La Mirada, both,
Yeah.
but I like the XL layout when they combine both courses.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it works, but it would be so cool to have a pro tour event at La Mirada.
We They did a disc golf world tour there way back in the day. I would
NTs or
love
something, yeah.
to go back. I think it's because, La Mirada doesn't allow, to close down the course
Yeah.
because it's a park.
Yeah, it's just too logistically complicated, but definitely an iconic Southern California course. If you're down there, you gotta hit Oak Grove in Pasadena. You gotta
Yes.
go to Chavez Ridge. A few
Yes.
others have come and gone.
Morley.
Yep.
Morley Field.
Morley's super good if you're gonna get down to San Diego. I love going up to Wrightwood and going up to Sky
Brightwood is
High. Sky High
fun.
is, like, one of my
It's
favorite
covered in
courses.
snow right now.
Not the easiest to play. They're getting dumped
No,
on.
oh, no. Or
How about, is it Sierra del Sol? There's, like, an Avery course that's kinda south of you. That's
yes,
supposed
on
to
a
be kind of a big
golf
one. Yeah,
course. It's huge, and I never see anyone playing it because it's huge.
too big.
It's a solid, like, 2.5 hours to walk.
No joke. And I guess there's some courses that have come and gone in the SoCal area, but it's a lot of driving, all things considered.
Yeah, they're not super, like, we don't have a lot of trees. Like, I would love for us to try and talk to some of these ball golf courses to get some disc golf on there, but I just think they're too bougie.
They don't want their ways changed.
And
Weddington there in Beverly Hills is another one that comes to mind of a fun little track. Super short, kind of a par 3, but on a ball golf par 3.
I haven't played that one.
Yeah. It's, yeah, let's take a little day trip over there. But
Reedy Creek is good.
mhm. Yeah, I was just talking about Reedy Creek the other day with some customers, recounting not knowing how to play in a tournament and my disc rolling like 150 feet away after like a splash out 10-foot miss, and I didn't know to just re-putt, because I'm right there.
Mhm.
I just went all the way back down the hill. Just
And
like walking for like 15 seconds, it's still rolling away.
James Conrad's or no, James Proctor status
Oh,
that
yeah.
you
Oh,
didn't
but, like,
replay.
even longer of a roll. It's, like, unbelievable. His was more
That's
impressive because
crazy.
of what the stuff it crossed over, the rocks and everything. Pure distance, I got him beat easily. Kona, it's so great to hear from you. It's so great to see you. Anything that you'd like to kind of, shout out or give props to before we part ways?
Yeah, always a huge shout out to my sponsors, Dynamic Discs, Bushnell Disc. They've supported me for a few years now and couldn't be more grateful. Well, hopefully this next season I might have some different sponsors. I'm reaching out to Oakley. I'm reaching out to, honestly, I'm looking to create just like a ton of really sweet media and
Mhm.
just reach out to like a ton of different people and see if we have any interest. I'm always looking for like the bigger sponsors to like try and get involved in disc golf. So that's my goal other than improving the game and just happy to be here. So thanks for having me, Greggy.
Well, you were definitely my comeback player of the year last year. Great job pulling it all together.
Thanks.
Some really strong performances, and looking forward to see what comes in 2025. Shout out to Colton, and we'll get him here on the podcast soon enough. Just want to make sure you guys each have your own individual spotlight. And thank you to Stanley for running the ones and twos. And
Thanks, Danny.
and we'll see you next year, and we'll definitely see you in Europe before too long.
Thanks. All right. See you.
All right, Kona. Thank you. All right, everybody. Thanks again for tuning into a morning round with Greggy Biscuits. I've been Greggy Biscuits. That's been Kona Montgomery joining us from Southern California, talking off season. We're going to keep doing these interviews throughout the off season, so stay tuned to the OTB Podnet for more of that, and we will see you on the flip side.